So my name is Grace Palladino. I won the month having to do with motivation, which is ironic because I'm super fucking lazy. And I was thinking about tonight's theme, growing pains, and rather than go with childhood or puberty, I wanted to tell you a story about one of those times during our adulthood where we should have been more of an adult than we were, and we overcompensated because we weren't. And 3 things to know about me before I start. The first thing is that I fucking love predatory birds. The second thing is that I am no longer married. And the third thing is that I was a public school, high school teacher for 10 years, so I have an amazing bladder control, typically. Okay, so let's start the story. So it starts about 8 years ago, and I was living in South Philly, and just luckily I had an actual garden, like not one of those kind of concrete slabs with pots on it, like there was earth in my backyard. And that's a little side note. And so on this particular morning I was awakened, whatever. Oh, I wasn't an English teacher, I taught history. And by a text from my friend, and was like, hey, she was driving all night from Vermont. She was coming into town on a Saturday morning to her dad's birthday party, and she was like, I got here 2 hours early. I'd love to catch up. Are you around? So I'm like, oh, of course. So I wake up to this text, and then I go to my door to welcome her in. And so I let her in, and we go straight to my gorgeous little garden, my earthly garden. And we're out there for hours. I put on a pot of coffee, we're gabbing as you would. And keep in mind, I have not yet mentioned that I've used the restroom. So we're out there for a while. 2 things of note. One is she used the restroom numerous times. And the second thing is we saw a motherfucking hawk. Like a hawk landed on a branch in my garden in South Philly. And because it was 8 years ago, I didn't have like a fancy camera on my cellular device. And so I had to go inside and get an actual camera with like film in it. And I was taking pictures of the hawk like I was part of National Geographic or something. Like I was like, this is Bridges of South Philadelphia. And I'm Clint, you know? So like I was into it. So the hawk hysteria died down. It was only my hysteria. And then she goes, oh shit, I'm late for my dad's birthday party. I gotta go. I'm gonna use the restroom one more time and then I'm gonna bounce. I was like, okay. She goes inside. She comes back out from the restroom, really like slinking, turns her head around the corner to that backyard and is like, I don't even know how to tell you this, but I destroyed your toilet. It's 100% broken, clogged. I can't find a plunger, nothing. And I'm late for my dad's birthday party, so like I have to go right now. So I am like, no problem, girl. And as soon as she said that, I'm like, I have to poop so bad. Like as soon as she said it, I'm like, this is real life. So she leaves. I go like into the bathroom like I have nothing, like nothing at all, like Oregon Trail style, like backwards, like I'm dealing with natural wares, like I don't know what, could I shove a high heel in it? I don't even own high heels. So I'm like, and as soon as I realized that, I'm like, I have to go right now. So whatever I was worried about, I realized I had like 15 seconds until it started to happen. So I just needed to like, my Sherlock calculations, like in my mind's eye started happening. So I was like, well, what have I seen people do with shit? And I've never owned a dog, I've never picked up shit, but I know that people have used a bag for it. So I was like, I'm gonna get a plastic bag and go to the shower and just be like the handles are gonna help me. So I go to the shower, and I don't want to like, I know this is like a totally non-Delco, super sophisticated story, so I will spare you, so I'll just use this metaphor for the bag experiment. It was as if I was dropping like a open brown sandwich bag full of sand from like a skyscraper. Like whenever it was released, it was an object, but by the time it hit the ground, it was everywhere. So that went... even a fucking English teacher, all right? I'm gonna fucking rock a metaphor like that. So that went on for 4 seconds, and then I was like, this is not working, and so I used every bit of strength in my lazy body to, like, you're just like, just with my anus, and I was like, wait, I have this gorgeous garden with earth. So I clench my anus and I run all the way to the back of my apartment to the backyard and I just pop a squat and fully take a dump for like 12 minutes. And while I'm in the garden doing this, I realize that I have like a fence on my garden, but like everyone on their second, third, fourth story, like it's Saturday morning, is like looking out the window like, you're a disgusting piece of garbage, like shitting in your garden, you know? So I'm like, you don't know me? So I do what I need to do, and then I literally bury the evidence. And all of a sudden, I'm in this shame spiral of insecurity because it occurs to me, this is the third time in my 20s that I've shit my pants, and like not aided by alcohol, just like fully, that's my life. So all of a sudden I'm like, you're a mess, like grow up, I'm freaking out. Okay, cut, yeah, okay, I have a cue. I forgot to mention, during our gab sesh, I mentioned the hawk and I took all these pictures of it, right? Okay, so I didn't mention that. I only practiced this once and I fucking forgot the hawk. So the hawk pictures are there, and so I'm like, well, how can I redefine this day? Like, what can I do to make this more of an adult, mature evening? Because I've just completely shamed myself yet again. And so I was like, I don't have any money, I don't have any resources. I was like, what can I do that adults do today to sort of just splash my face and start again? And I was like, I know, I'll get engaged. So I was seeing somebody at the time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna invite him over for dinner. I went out to my parents' house and I got like a sentimental family ring, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this fucking shit because adults do this shit, you know, on the World Wide Web all the time. So I took pictures, like that fucking stupid Love Actually shit, even though I hate that movie. And I took pictures of flashcards that said, will you marry me? Like question mark on its own, you know, cute. And I interspersed it with my hawk pictures. And I did like a 1 hour film development, whatever. So I was like, come over for dinner. So I make dinner, they come over, and then I'm like, oh, I saw a hawk today, and I took some pictures, and they're looking at it, flipping through, and it's like, will you marry me? And then they're like, sure. You know, it's just like what you want to hear. So I got engaged, and then I got married. And I'm no longer married. And so what I would say is, what to learn as you become an adult is, don't make major life decisions because of bowel movements. And just grow up and buy a plunger.